All right, today we have one last lesson over rationals. Today we're going to talk about dividing rationals. Okay, and I'm going to do a little problem over here out to the side. I'm going to ask Miss Fender if she would pause this video every once in a while. So everybody pay attention and shout out pause when I say to pause. Because I'm going to kind of have you guys think and work, and I'm going to work through problems quickly, but I want you to stop and think every once in a while. Okay, let's talk about dividing. We've talked about rationals being big boy and girl fractions, and so let's talk about how we divide fractions. All right, so if I, for instance, I don't know, if I had the fraction, let's say 3/4 divided by 9/5. Okay, so crazy couple of little fractions. It doesn't matter what numbers I pick. All right, we talked a little bit about how to divide fractions at the beginning of this unit. So I'm going to say right now that I want you to talk to your neighbor and try to remember how to divide fractions. That's going to help us with how to divide rationals. So I'm going to say pause while you guys talk about how to do that for just a second. Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to talk about this, and hopefully some of you remembered that we talked about the way that we divide fractions is to change the second part. Okay, so we're going to not use this second part, and instead we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, we flip over that second fraction, just the second one, not the first one, and then it's just like a multiplication problem. And we remember we can do things like we can reduce these numbers, and then we multiply straight across. 1 times 5 is 5, 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, we're going to use this same idea with dividing rationals. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit trickier. We're going to still have to do our factoring and all that stuff, but we're going to flip over the second fraction and then multiply, which you guys know how to multiply rationals already, so this shouldn't be too bad. The only new thing is that we're having to flip over that second fraction. Okay, so here we go. Let's try some examples. And watch how I put these on my paper and how I give myself room. Some of you guys try to crowd your notes up really, really close together, and you don't have room to work. So I'm definitely going to give myself a space above and a space below when I write out this problem. Okay, so here's my first one. N minus 1 on the top. On the bottom is n squared minus 14n plus 48 divided by n minus 1 on the top over 7n. Okay, so get that whole problem written down. Okay. I'll give you a second to do that. Everybody's writing this down and taking notes. You are responsible for this information tomorrow. Everybody should know how to divide rationals tomorrow when I come back. Okay, so what we need to do, just like what we talked about up here, is we're going to cross out this second part. Now, don't cross it out where you can't even see it. We're going to cross this out, and we're going to rewrite it because we're going to turn this into a multiplication problem where this is flipped over. So now 7n is on top, n minus 1 is on the bottom. Okay, so now we're ignoring this stuff altogether, and we're going to use this new reciprocal to do our multiplication. All right, just like when we did multiplication problems before, we need to find anything that we're able to factor. And what I see that I can factor is this right here. You should be getting pretty quick at this. This is quick marf. Okay, so I'm going to end up with 2 sets of parentheses. I want you to think for just a second what your magic numbers are here. Again, if you wanted to hit pause and go ahead and factor this on your... Okay, so our magic numbers here, multiplies to be 48, adds to be negative 14, is negative 8 and negative 6. Okay, those two numbers multiply together to be positive 48, add together to be negative 14. Okay, so we're not using this anymore. We're using our new factored forms, and now we're going to cross out anything that we see that matches from top to bottom. Well, I have n minus 1, and I have n minus 1. Those both cancel out. Okay, and then I don't see that I can cross anything else out. I have 7n, I have n minus 8, n minus 6. Nothing else seems like it'll cancel out. So I'm just going to put these all together as my final answer. On the top, I have 7n. And on the bottom, I still have both of these items, n minus 8, n minus 6. Okay, and so that is our answer. We just divided that rational. Okay, let's try a few more and make sure we really get it. Okay, so number 2. And again, please watch these examples several times if we need to. Okay, all right, so let's try the next problem. And notice I'm giving myself lots of space between my examples. All right, on this one, we have m plus 9 over m squared plus 8m minus 9 divided by 1 over m squared minus 6m plus 5. All right, so think about what you need to do first here. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is we need to flip over this second fraction. So I'm going to say multiplied by m squared minus 6m plus 5, and then 1 on the bottom. And then I'm going to cross this out because I'm not going to use that anymore. Okay, so now I'm just flipped it over. I found the reciprocal, and now I'm multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, I see a couple places I can factor. I can factor here by Marfing, and I can factor here by Marfing as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and try that. Go ahead and try finding your magic numbers. Again, if you'd like to pause at this point, and then the students can factor on their own, and then we can continue, that would be fine. All right, so let's take a look. I know I'm going to have m in the front on both of these. I'm multiplying to be negative 9, adding to be positive 8. I believe my numbers are positive 9 and negative 1. Okay, same thing over here. You should have factored this one already as well. Okay, I see that my magic numbers multiplies to be 5, adds to be negative 6, is going to be negative 1 and negative 5. Okay, so everything is factored, and now I'm going to cross out anything I can cross out. I see m plus 9 and m plus 9. I see m minus 1 and m minus 1. Okay, so now I look at everything that's left on the top and the bottom. I see on the top I have m minus 5. Okay, and on the bottom I've crossed out almost everything. All I have left on the bottom is a 1. And so technically we could put this over 1. But if it was a multiple choice answer, we would leave it just like this, m minus 5 as the final answer. Okay, if you want to put m minus 5 over 1, that's totally okay. All right, let's again try a couple more. We're going to do at least one more together, and then maybe have you work on a couple by yourself. Okay, so number 3, we will do 2r over r squared minus 100 divided by 3r plus 27 over 3r minus 30. Okay, so get the problem written down. All right, and then let's take a look at what we can do. All right, just like every other problem, we need to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to flip over this fraction right here. 3r minus 30 on the top, 3r plus 27 on the bottom, and then I'm going to cross this out so I don't accidentally use it. Okay, now I'm going to have to factor. I actually see 3 places I can factor in this one. So why don't we go ahead and pause the video right here and go ahead and factor in 3 different places on this video. Okay, so you go ahead and start working on that. Okay, now that you're back, I'm going to go ahead and go through and do all of the factoring I can here. I see I have a 3 and a 30. I know I can factor a 3 out of that. I'm left with r minus 10. I'll cross that out so I don't use it anymore. Here I've got a 3 and a 27. I'm going to factor that out. R plus 9. Okay, so I've done 2 factorings. And then this is the one that we always struggle with, r squared minus 100. This is that difference of squares. I get r plus 10 and r minus 10. Okay, so we factored in 3 different places, and we got to see all the stuff that we can cross out. I have an r minus 10 and an r minus 10. I can cross out. Oh, and I'm not using that right there anymore. Okay, so r minus 10, r minus 10. I see a 3 and a 3 that are just outside parentheses all by themselves. 3 and a 3. And that's all I see that I can cross out. So I think that's it. So now we're going to put our answer together. On the top, I still have this 2r. And on the bottom, I say I have r plus 10 and r plus 9. Those need to go in parentheses since there's more than one. Okay, so r plus 10 and r plus 9. Okay, so it's not really cleaned up too much. I mean, it's still kind of messy looking. All right, but we divided that, and this is in its simplest form. Okay, I'm going to put 2 more problems on this paper.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our afternoon announcements here.
All right, so I'm going to, sorry about the interruption, by the way, but I'm going to go ahead and put up 2 more problems. You're gonna work through those completely, and then I'll leave it up to Miss Fender if she wants to work those through on the board and show you the answer, or check those from you, or have, a couple students go up to the board to work on those. So, okay, so I'm gonna give you examples 4 and 5, and you're going to do those. Okay, so we have x minus 3 over x squared minus x minus 6 divided by 1 over x squared minus 36. Okay, so that's example 4 that you're going to work on your own. Okay, and then example 5 I'll put up here as well, so that you can get started on that when you get done with the first one. X squared plus 10x plus 16, okay, over x squared plus 6x plus 8 divided by 1 over x plus 4. Okay, so these two problems are your responsibility to get done. If Ms. Fender feels like you guys are not working and not getting these done, I would highly recommend collecting these two problems as a quiz. I'm happy to put those in the grade book as a quiz if students are not working or not focused on what they should be working on. So thank you, and keep working, and I hope everybody understands what we just did. Thank you.